This is Luke Paulson, the Catholic Conservative, and welcome to the news of the week for May 18th, 2024. And if you enjoy these videos, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. The good old days. Every so often, the opposing party has a talking point to try and derail the administration in power at the time. In light of the trial that should not even be taking place, especially in the light of the letter by Sloppy Daniels that the persecutor,
don't you mean prosecutor? No!
to my knowledge, has not refuted. Their latest talking point is the good old days when cheating on your pregnant wife with a porn star would surely end a political career. I emphasize this in my most recent Liberals Think video, which comes out on Wednesdays. First of all, a political career should not be upended because of evidence-free blackmail. We see a pattern that anytime there's a powerful man, some woman comes up and tries to get something out of him. When he refuses, she destroys his life. We saw the same thing with Herman Cain. We are not electing a pope, we are electing a president. What Bill Clinton did with Monica Lewinsky was completely irrelevant. And remember how Hillary Clinton trashed her the whole time?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
The fact remains that this does not matter. I am more concerned about a sitting president that sniffs hair and tells the press that his butt has been wiped.
My butt's been wiped.
On the other hand, we have President Trump. Who is Hannibal Lecter? Hannibal Lecter is perhaps one of the most famous fictional horror movie villains. President Trump made a stop in New Jersey for a rally and made a comparison with the villain. In essence, this was his argument. Lecter would say that he was having someone for dinner and they would be the dinner. As such, going to Hannibal Lecter's house is foolish because you have no guarantee of safety. In the same way, no one can be sure of American safety with all of these illegals running around. They are coming by land, sea, and air. It is now estimated that as many as 1 in 10 people living in America are here illegally. This is why President Trump had a policy where they remained in Mexico until their claim was processed. Brandon, however, wants them to stay with plenty of welfare and hopes they will have an anchor baby in the meantime. The fact remains that we cannot be sure of our safety because of all the people on terror watch lists that are getting caught. By this point, there could be enough members of an Islamic terrorist group in America to stage at least a dozen 9/11 style attacks. Even if we imagined that the Patriot Act, NSA, and TSA did anything whatsoever to stop terrorists, their work is completely useless if we are letting the terrorists into America. In this way, President Trump was wrong. The people being let in are worse than Hannibal Lecter. There are a lot of horrible people out there. Tesla plant attacked. I do not know much about German politics. However, I do know that they have hate speech laws, which means freedom of speech does not exist. They also have stricter gun laws, which means the right to bear arms does not exist. Germany was the site of a recent attack on a Tesla plant. While I have absolutely no proof that this was Soros-funded, I would put money on it. Why would they attack this plant? Why not a plant that produces so-called gas guzzlers? Officially, they are anti-capitalist protesters. But something tells me that is not so. Why not attack any of the other companies in the country? Why specifically Tesla? I think that I can tell you why.
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
In all truth, this is about sending a message to Elon Musk and trying to destroy what he has. If these people can cause enough damage, he might not be able to fight his war against the woke. The more targets that anyone has to shoot at, the more they will miss. However, let us talk about how the science has changed. Science catches up to reality. Remember all the channels and people who got canceled for saying that heart attacks and strokes were connected to a certain vaccine?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Now the medical industrial complex is finally starting to admit that was true. The fact is that this all could have been prevented. If I'm going to be completely honest, this is partly on President Trump for Operation Warp Speed. These companies, even though they knew about the possible side effects, will never be held accountable. And to add insult to injury, Chris Cuomo is now on ivermectin, the horse dewormer, as a treatment for this particular virus. Something that he decried as fake news not too long ago. In other words, virtually everything that the mainstream media told us about the virus was wrong. Yet, I am sure that the same doctors will be trusted the next time around. After all, they believe that men can get pregnant. Speaking of drugs, marijuana is reclassified. Marijuana may be reclassified because it is not nearly as dangerous as the federal government has been telling us. Now I must make one thing incredibly clear. I think that anyone who is using it for the psychedelic effects has something seriously wrong with their head already. That being said, marijuana has many medical benefits that cannot be understated. The feds made alcohol illegal, and it not only led to more alcohol crime, but also more dangerous alcohol. Since the feds cracked down on weed tracking fields by helicopter, we have learned that marijuana grows much better and much more potently in a greenhouse. As usual, they made things worse. However, speaking of making things worse, Stormy Daniels ruins her case. Sloppy Daniels took the stand and subjected the poor jury to some of the most horrible things that no person should ever have to hear. However, the problem is that with each passing day, President Trump gets stronger and gets more support. She is tweeting about how she fantasizes that President Trump is in jail amongst other things, and this does not help her case. She also owes President Trump by order of the court $500,000 that she has yet to pay. If Donald Trump refused to pay, he would be arrested. However, she is special because she is fighting against Donald Trump. Combine this with the fact that her now disgraced lawyer admits that she falsified business records to avoid paying Trump, and I would not be surprised if there was not at least a hung jury. Speaking of President Trump's campaign, fake news on Nikki Haley. Any news source can be biased or make a mistake. I mean, just look at Fox News. It is nothing more than controlled opposition. Even independent outlets like Mark Dice can be biased, refusing to say anything negative about President Trump. However, let us talk about Axios. They are the ones who broke the story that Brandon's handlers have to be as close to him as possible to keep the press from seeing how frail he looks. This includes always having a diaper bag. After all, he does tell the press.
I must be right.
However, the same network released a statement saying that President Trump was considering traitor and neocon Nikki for vice president. President Trump officially squashed this rumor. However, I'm sure that her super PAC got plenty of donations from it. This money could have gone to someone who puts America first. Whether Axios is a willing pawn or not is irrelevant. They published fake news and will have to repair their reputation. However, under the First Amendment, they have a right to say something, but are not free from the consequences of what they say if it is false. Speaking of free expression, only in select stores. After the disastrous fallout at Target last June, I have heard that they are going to make some changes. Supposedly, they are going to have their products delegated to the June pandering only in select cities. These cities are probably going to be hotspots of socialism and liberalism, such as California and New York. This means that those who would be calling them out might not be able to do so as easily. However, if anything is in the public, it can be criticized. We need to defend our children peacefully. We cannot win this battle with force. However, if someone comes in and tries to harm your children with a gun, you had better take immediate action. Defending a Louisiana church. I now take you to Louisiana for the latest installment of The Second Amendment Saves Lives. While children were celebrating their first communion, a lone gunman entered the sanctuary. Although he was quickly put down, it scared the entire church. The mass shooting was prevented because of the speedy reaction of the parishioners. This could have been a lot worse. If this had happened in a church without constitutional carry, the gun grabbers like Robert O'Rourke, Pelosi, and Biden would act before the families could finish mourning. However, since the children were protected, the same people will not even give this a second thought. I would be surprised if the fake news spent 1 minute covering this story. This just shows how important it is to protect our children. Speaking of protecting children, the Tennessee Ultrasounds. Tennessee recently passed a law requiring schools to use medically accurate images from ultrasound or other images of the like to show that the child is in fact human from the moment of conception. Naturally, the anti-life crowd is very upset that children will be protected. Schools have been teaching sex education in one form or another for a while now. We know that abstinence is 100% effective at preventing a pregnancy, but this approach has been attacked because teenagers do not have willpower. I think that an overlooked problem is that these kids do not truly understand that they are creating a human life. Abortion is used to erase the consequences of sex as a form of birth control. If these kids see that this truly is a human being that they are destroying, they may be more cautious. Either way, using these models is also an excellent way to teach biology. Something that liberals also have a problem with, but that is another topic for another day. Speaking of young children, college degree for daycare. Washington, D.C. is a swamp. Not just for the federal level, but for the local level as well. Recently, the bureaucrats have decided that daycares cannot operate unless the instructors and caregivers have a college degree. Maybe it is because I am fresh off of watching the first episode of Tuttle Twins Season 3. But this is utterly ridiculous. There are a lot of things that you need a degree for, like being a doctor or a lawyer, but working at a daycare does not require a degree. Now, that is not to say their job is easy, but no degree is required. The only thing that you need is love and compassion. However, those do not make money for the colleges that subsist on the vulnerable. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion. And do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. But before you go, on the left I have last week's video, but you may also enjoy the video on the right.